Well, hey everyone, Milky Slim here. I decided to look at all the different PS4 games I have played and rank them in this fun little list. Just figure out my feelings on some of these games. Try my best to order them around and how much I like them, how much I dislike them. All that jazz. So let's begin. Let's start with Monster Hunter World. Immediately this game is going to great. The Monster Hunter games are very enjoyable experiences, and this one is definitely one of the most enjoyable. It definitely took the series in our right direction, but it misses out in some points. Now, disclaimer, I have not played Iceborne, so I don't know if this has addressed any of it. I'm pretty sure it has addressed my points on the game's difficulty and monster variety. But I have not played that, so I wouldn't know. I'm just ranking it based off of the base game. So this game is really fun in the sense of what they did with playing around the environment. For example, I used to dual blades, so I'm always sliding around and kind of doing that spin saw move on the backs of monsters, which is really satisfying. The music is decent, so the gameplay is really solid. The music is decent. I wouldn't say it's the best in the series, but it's got some bops in there. I'm particularly a fan of Rotten Vale. As far as the story goes, I don't care about it, and I'm not going to take away any points for that reason. Monster Hunter is the type of series you just kind of go for the ride with just some really good monster boss fights. And the graphics, it's legitimately one of the most gorgeous games that has come out. I think in terms of the modern, with the Xbox, PS4 games, I'd say the best looking games would have to be Monster Hunter, God of War, and Shadow of the Colossus. But yeah, this goes on the great list. I like being singed around by some flying wyverns and stuff. It's just a really fun game. Give it a shot if you haven't. Up next, Titanfall 2. Alright, I'm going to put it on decent for now. Now, of course, things can change as we go along with the video. So, Titanfall 2. So one, I think shooters are fun, a very oversaturated area of gaming, but they're really fun. Depending on how they're designed to be played. And Titanfall 2 is designed to be a fast-paced game. So, right off the bat, the gameplay is really good. You're basically split between two modes. One where you're just, running and gunning. Really fast pilot. You're pretty much like a ninja, because you can run on walls, you got a double jump. And there's a whole bunch of different types of pilots you can use that will do one different thing. For example, I use this dagger character, where you throw the dagger and it kind of shows where enemies are in the nearby pulse range. Or you can do, I don't know what it's called, grapple, hook, I call it the hook shot, where you can, cling onto enemies and punch them in the face, or just latch onto different areas and swing like a spider. It's a fun game. I think with the mechs and all, I don't find the mechs to be as fun, but they're still very enjoyable. I really like the Ronin. But the reason it's undecent is, well, I'm not going to take away points for no music, because I don't expect there to be really music in shooters. I really care about music in games. If you play more, shooters and stuff like that, you're not going to care as much until you start playing like an RPG or just some Nintendo thing. So different types of games where music accompanies the experience. But it doesn't really matter much with shooters, so I'm not taking points away from that. The main campaign was pretty fun. Not the most fun I've had in a campaign. There's another game on this list here, which is pretty much the campaign. I love this game. But it's a decent campaign. Overall, I put it in decent. It's definitely really fun. I'm not that good at it, but it's a really good time. Speaking of the campaign, I was talking about Doom. This is definitely on great. If you don't care about the story, this is the game for you. If you don't like camping and sitting still, this is the game for you. In Doom, if you stay still, you're dead. You just keep moving around, running and gunning. There isn't even no dedicated reload button, it's just all automatic with that sense. It is a really fun experience. There's not much that needs to be said about Doom. You're just running and shooting demons, while you got a really awesome heavy metal score accompany it. It's a great game, great experience. There's my friend a couple years back, he showed me that like on this cover, if you look for it, you can actually see one of the Revenant, I think they're called. They're playing a trombone thing, and it's a cute little reference to the meme. But moving on, Yakuza Kiwami. And I know you can't tell from the badly cropped photo, but over here is supposed to be Kiryu on the left, and on the right is Nishiki. In the middle you got Haruka. To sum it up, it's a Yakuza 0 Lite. Play Yakuza 0 first, or don't. See, how it works is if you play Yakuza 0 first, you will appreciate the story more, and you'll know these characters more. But if you play that one first, you'll be a bit disappointed with this game's gameplay. It's not as full of content as Yakuza 0 is. There's still plenty of stuff to do, but if you've played 0, it's nowhere near as much. Instead of having 2 characters with 4 styles, it's 1 character with the same 4 styles. And one of those styles is pathetic throughout most of the game. I didn't even really end up using it for the main campaign. So it'll stay here indecent. The music isn't memorable. Really, it's okay. It's still a good time. You know, the story is really well done, especially with how they show how the main villain became the main villain. So it's a good game. Give it a shot if you liked Yakuza 0 and you want to get more into the series to see what you've been missing. Speaking of Yakuza 0, let's rank you. We're gonna put you at near perfect. So Yakuza 0 is the meme game, the one everyone likes. We know it because of Baka Mitai. We know it because Mr. Libido doing his little dance. We know it because it's just a really great experience. It's got one of the most well-written stories I've seen. It just keeps punching you and getting at you with these new twists and turns, and it all comes together really nicely. It's a great experience. The story, the gameplay is really fun. Although Kiwami does a bit more in terms of how you can switch your styles. It's a really nice addition to Kiwami. At the same time, Kiwami makes it so that the game is artificially harder with lowering your damage and stuff. Because Zero is just pure fun. You're just constantly destroying your enemies with how powerful both of your characters are. It is one of the best games I have ever played. It is my second favorite game. So please, if you got Xbox Game Pass, or if you're willing to put in $20 for this game, please by all means do it. This game is amazing. The only thing, now there isn't really much I can take points for it, away from it. It's just really good. I highly recommend this one. Really, really do. Moving on, Horizon Zero Dawn. Yeah, I didn't enjoy my time with this one at all. So the game is beautiful, and it's got some very interesting world building in it. But it's a lot of the same sights, not too many interesting things really. Once you see Night the first time, and the night in this game is beautiful. It is gorgeous. It's one of my favorite looking, kind of like night cycles in any game. But after the first couple of times, you don't really care anymore, The dungeons, there's nothing special about them. You just, kill enemies, get whatever you need to get. The story, I think it's good. I didn't pay too much attention to it because after an hour in, I was just playing it to get it done with. They reuse bosses a lot, and this is going to be an issue later on when I look at God of War. They reuse bosses a lot. Even the final boss is reused. So that aspect isn't really nice. I know the wars with Breath of the Wild and Horizon Zero Dawn were a thing, but honestly, Breath of the Wild really is the better game. There's definitely much more interesting things going on with the game, with just the shrines, your abilities, the physics. But this isn't a video about Nintendo. This is a video about PlayStation. So I didn't enjoy my time with it at all. It is a great game, but not for me. Moving on with the game I am currently playing on the channel, and would be playing more if it weren't for my hyper-Catholic mom. Not parents. My dad's cool about it. But anyway, Resident Evil 2. Where do I put you? I'll put you here. This game is good at getting you scared. So a lot of places are really dark. The zombies are very gritty, realistic looking zombies, and they behave in erratic ways. Predictable, like you would expect some sort of, zombie to behave. But nonetheless, they can be pretty terrifying. Mostly when Mr. X comes into play is when it really starts getting scary, because, if you've been watching my videos, which I do recommend you guys watch, I'm having a lot of fun playing this game. I do some little edits and jokes sometimes. I'm not going to be joke heavy on this video, but I try when I try on my other vids. But yeah, this game's a fun experience. It's a sweet 8-hour long game. And I really like playing as Leon. I like playing as Leon more than Claire, because Leon gets the shotgun, and that thing's very satisfying. But yeah, I'd say Resident Evil 2 belongs in great. There isn't... Instead of rating the music, because that's not where horror games shine, I'd be rating the sound design. And the sound design is really well done. It's about as well done as Doom's sound design. They do a great job. Now, it's not the best sound design I've heard in a horror game. There's a horror game called Darkwood that I've been meaning to play more. But that game's got some amazing sound design. That my brother's been playing it. I've seen it a bit. It does a really good job, Darkwood. But I'm getting off track here. It's a great game. Quick side note though, I know a couple of you perverts really like the female zombies. No. This necrophilia is nasty stuff. But anyway, moving on. God of War. This game... Oh, wrong place. It's on great. The only thing stopping me from putting it on decent is because, a couple of reasons. One, the story is very well done. The kid, what's his face again? Atreus? Yeah, Atreus. He can get annoying, but it's natural for a kid to be annoying. I live with 5 of them. So it's a natural part of being a kid, it's going to be annoying. It's a story about how Kratos is overcoming, he's overcome his rage from the past games and is much more calm, much more experienced, more stoic. And he's trying to be a better father for his boy. It's a really great game to see how the relationship between these two characters, which seems to be close but a bit separate. It's a situation where it's so close yet so far away. It's about the bond that builds between these two. Atreus learning more how to be a man rather than the whiny boy he is. It's a pretty nice adventure. The problem is a bit of the gameplay. So this game tries to be sort of your action-adventure game with hack and slash, but it doesn't fully commit to either of those, in my opinion, because there isn't honestly too much variety in the enemies we're fighting in God of War, especially with the bosses. You're going to be seeing the same guy, the same giants over and over again. Now, the guy I'm talking about, his fights are pretty cool, but all three of his fights, they They have very similar looking cinematics, so it kind of gets stale in that sense. But, you know, the plot's really good. The game is beautiful. One of the best looking games on PlayStation. Like I said, it rivals Monster Hunter. I think the best looking games of these console generations are, you know, Monster Hunter World, God of War, and two Xenoblade games on Switch. But really, it just comes down to the gameplay, because with the action-adventure part, you know, it tries to have dungeons with puzzles, but the puzzles aren't really anything to, you know, be wowed by. You're not going to get any Zelda-level stuff here, any Portal-level stuff. It's just simple, you know, throw your axe here, cut the rope, take this glowing stone from A to B, you know, those boring puzzles that have been in action games since the beginning, and they, for some reason, don't go away. And, well, Atreus is an annoying kid. You know, you get tired of doing, you know, daycare on the go after so long. But it did win Game of the Year for a reason. And while I don't think people should take Game of the Year very seriously, I mean, Xenoblade 2 wasn't mentioned at all for the 2018 category. Not even from music, which it should have won that year. Not gonna lie. But you know, whatever. It's a popularity contest, not a how good it is contest. And while those two can play hand in hand, they don't perfectly play hand in hand. Moving on. Persona 5 Royal. Over here. Alright. Besides the cringy 12-year-old fanbase that this game has, honestly, every single time a turn-based RPG comes out, the Persona 5 fans just seem to acting like clowns and morons, because they think every single game that either takes place in Japan or is a turn-based RPG is a carbon copy of this game. I guess they've never heard of other RPGs before. Which, I guess, to be fair, this game has been like a gateway RPG for a lot of people. And hopefully it isn't the only RPG they play, because there are definitely better ones. If this were a tier list of just RPGs, this would probably be smack in the middle at a C. But, I mean, it is a fun game. The soundtrack is great. The improvements made in Royal over the vanilla version just really add to how fun it is. And that third semester is really well done. It is much better than the base game. But aside from that, you know, it's got its flaws. It's got really annoying characters as well as really lovable ones, but I'm so divided by its cast, and then there are some horrible implications with dating minors, considering that your character who's a high schooler can date all these adult women, and that's not proper. You know, you guys, if you're 14, think, you know, MILFs and MILF teachers are cool and all, but, you know, not really. But hey, whatever, that's what porn's for, to fulfill your weird fantasies. Well, let's move on. Final Fantasy VII Remake. It is on Great. Now, like I said, things are subject to change, because, to be honest, I don't know if I liked it more than Monster Hunter World, or if I liked it a little less. This game is a very well done homage to the first 7 hours of Final Fantasy VII. Now, I know... Oh, sorry, the train's gonna be blaring in the background. Sorry about that, I live close by a train. But anyway, with Final Fantasy VII Remake, the music is amazing. It should win Soundtrack of the Year for this Game of the Year, honestly. While I'm in between Hades and Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I think those two are kind of guaranteed to win, hopefully. I'd be perfectly fine with whichever one wins. Like I said, don't take the Game of the Year awards too seriously, but, you know, with Final Fantasy VII Remake's got one of my favorite pieces of this year, Midnight Rendezvous. That is a great song, and I might have it playing in the background. Hopefully Square doesn't kill me for it. If they do, I'll replace the song with something else. But, you know, great score, great homage. It vastly improves how much you like the characters from those original 7 hours. Because, to be honest, when I played the first game, I didn't care about Jesse, Biggs, Wedge. Still don't care about Wedge much, but Jesse and Biggs were definitely vastly improved as characters that you really wanted. You know, you want this team to succeed. You want to see them keep pushing forward. No, you want to see more of them. They're very fun characters. Aside from that, the gameplay, it fixes everything I had a problem with Final Fantasy 15, which we will definitely get to later. It just does a very good job. I know it's a little divisive because, well, the story and quite frankly, yeah, while the characters are great and all, they've done such a good job improving on the, just writing these characters and making them have a really nice synergy. But the story is a little whack. They got these ghost things called whispers, and they just serve to interrupt the plot, to just be, plot walls and stuff. They're annoying. They weren't part of the original game, and I know they're trying to do something different with this one. It's definitely very clear to see by the ending of the game that they're trying to do something different with these remakes. But they're very annoying to the plot. They were definitely the most unnecessary thing. And well, Kate Sith isn't... Not Kate Sith. Oh, what's his name? Red 13. I called him Cat when I played Final Fantasy 7, I think. But Red 13, either that or Pussy. But Red 13 isn't playable. He's just like an auto attack member. So that's not fun. I can kind of understand it, I guess. He's not going to be in the game for long before it ends. But even so, that really sucks. But overall, it's a great homage to those first 7 hours. There are definitely a little time-wasty things on it, but it's great. The gameplay is super fun. I really like it. It does a great blend of the action that Final Fantasy 15 was going for with the RPG. It does great with that. So let's move on to Shadow of the Colossus. This one goes on near perfect. If you were to talk to me before, like when I was a little younger, about my thoughts on these more cinematic type games, I would shit on you. I would say, these games are crappy, they're not games, they're movies. That same sentiment still applies, because Shadow of the Colossus is not like that. It may look like that, but not really. So this game is basically a boss battle montage in this desolate land, and it's got a great tragic plot. I really love it. It is a masterpiece in the way it's presented, the way the story is told, what you can get out of the very little they will directly tell you. So the gameplay, how it works is, if you're just watching, you're gonna say, "Oh, I'm just climbing on a monster and pressing square." But the thing is, you got to figure out what you're gonna do with these boss fights. Maybe sometimes how to get to them. Now some of them are going to be very obvious, like phalanxes. You shoot the air gas things, which, by the way, Phalanx is my favorite boss in this game, and is also the only truly benevolent, doesn't fight back Colossi in this game. But anyway, the score in this game is one of the greatest video game scores of all time. You need to give it a listen, especially Despair-Filled Farewell and Counterattack. They are jaw-dropping pieces. I love them to death. This game has an amazing soundtrack. It looks amazing, and the looks really, really, really do well for this game. It is gorgeous, Maybe I'm not going to be able to sell you on it, but please, by all means, try the game if you can. It is such a beautiful tale with great gameplay. Because it's more of a puzzle game than an action or a cinematic thing. Because it does things. For example, I'm going to go back to Phalanx. If this were any other game, when you shot the air gas, the gas things, and the little blobs of air that's on it, and it starts sinking down. When you shoot those down and the wings go down so you can climb on it, in any other game, there would be a transitional cutscene with Wander jumping to the wings and doing that. No, in this game you do that yourself, and that is more satisfying. This game is cinematic in how it looks. But how it plays like a good old game. It is wonderful. It is a magical, wonderful experience. Please. Studio Ghibli, if you're watching this, please work with Sony to make a movie from this. With your art style, it'd be amazing. But let's move on. I don't want to keep sucking this game's dick. Tekken 7. Where would I put you? You're in grade 2. Tekken 7 is my favorite fighting game that isn't Super Smash Brothers. The music is very... The music slaps in this game. The gameplay is the most fluid fighting game gameplay I've had the pleasure of playing. Everything is smooth and fluid. Combo strings string really well when you figure out what strings with what. The game, although it does look dated, it's gorgeous looking. With places like Infinite Azure, they just released a new character who has a very gorgeous Japanese stage. The volcano places are really nice. It was just a gorgeous game in terms of, how everything works with how it looks and feels. Story, this is what's preventing it from being near perfect, the campaign. It is not very impressive. The final boss fight is pretty hype, but other than that, there's really nothing to look forward to with the story in this game. I honestly didn't really know much of what was going on, to be honest. Just that Heihachi slept with his hot demon wife, and he didn't know that was his hot demon wife. So then she did a pro gamer move and tried to assassinate him, but he said no, and then killed her with his giant forehead. And then he tried to kill his son or whatever, and it's there's a lot going on. But it is, if you're just going for the gameplay, play this. It is probably the best fighting game right now. Alright. Next up, Mortal Kombat 11. You're on decent. Not lowest decent. Actually, yes, lowest decent. It's a fun game. Mortal Kombat 11. It's fun. I think the gore is a little too much. Like, even for Mortal Kombat, Mortal Kombat's all about exaggerated gore and stuff. And that can be fun for some people, but I don't really care much for it. Unless it's something truly really nice and stylish, like some of the I don't know what they're called. I think they're called Crushing Blows. Like Cabal's Crushing Blow is really stylish. It's and cool. I love that one. And I like Liu Kang's specials. But other than that, it's basically just a gore fest. And the gameplay is solid. But there are definitely, better fighting games, like the game that is on top of it right now, Tekken 7. Play that game. With Mortal Kombat 11, it's, when I play a fighting game, I expect a certain hype mood to it, I expect some hype blasting music, some pretty nice looking areas to back up the really nice looking combat. You're not going to get this with Mortal Kombat 11. There isn't really any hype music for it. It's all sort of kind of gritty, grim backing music, which is fitting, but it's not what I look for in a fighting game. I guess there's... Oh, yeah, I do have another point for why. I described Tekken 7 as fluid. I would describe Mortal Kombat 11 as snappy. I think attacks and stuff in this game come out too quick for the art style they were going with. They're going for a more realistic but kind of animated, but more realistic art style. And I feel like the attacks are just way too snappy for that art style, so I don't know if it's just me. No, it might be just me. But it does look way too snappy for what I actually see. Other than that, yeah, great game. If you can handle the gore, it's a fun game to play. But there are definitely better fighting games to play. Next up, Nier Automata. You know, you get a sexy ass robot girl. You get to play as one. Why wouldn't you want this game? There's a whole button dedicated to her just blowing her clothes up, so you can kind of just see her like bathing suit kind of thing. Because her outfit's like a dress with bathing suit. It's weird. It's hot though. But anyway, enough about me being perverted. The gameplay is really good. It is a very fun hack and slash type RPG game with a very gorgeous post-apocalyptic world and one of the most amazing stories, if not the best story I have ever had the pleasure of seeing, of witnessing. The relationship with 2B and 9S is a really nice one. They play off each other very nicely. And well, things happen in the story, and I'm not going to spoil it for you because this game is available on PC, PS4, and Xbox. Play it. Please do yourself a favor and play it. I know kind of the open world RPG-ness of it might turn you off. Just, you know, maybe you're not into a story with the game. Maybe you just want that instant gloopiness of a shooter or whatever. But it's so beautiful. With the story, the way it looks, the music is amazing. It goes along with Shadow Colossus as being one of the greatest video game soundtracks of all time. Just do yourself a favor and play this game and be horny with all of us when it comes to 2B. You can be like me, just climb on the ladder all day. But anyway, now we're on the last game, and it's the game I made this tier ranking for. Final Fantasy 15. Has potential but doesn't reach it. This game is one of the biggest wasted potentials I've ever seen in my life. So it's Square Enix. So Square Enix has a problem that I think just a lot of game devs now have, which is they really prioritize graphics before they do anything else. So it's kind of where I would say God of War falls flat. It's where I would say, you know, where in a sense Mortal Kombat 11 falls flat. It's where I'd definitely say where Horizon Zero Dawn would fall flat. You know, they seem to prioritize these things a bit more. So after you get these really nice visuals done, what do you have? You have a half-baked RPG. Now, it's supposed to be an action RPG, but the thing is, where's the action? Because all you do to fight in this game is you hold down circle, or whatever corresponding button you have on the system you play on, because it's available on both PS4, PC, Xbox. But I'm talking as of this for PS4, so you hold down circle to attack, and you can move the stick to do a different animation. That's all you're doing. And you got a warp strike, so you press triangle and lock onto enemies to do it. And admittedly cool looking, but it's like the only thing you'll ever be able to do, because you're very limited. You're either just holding circle or pressing triangle. You don't really have anything cool like magic, and you do have magic, but it's more like you just like a one-time use wall thing. It's stupid. And then your party members, you can't play as any of them, but you can sort of use them in skills called techs, which is just like a little extra thing you can do. There's definitely challenging points to the game, but most of it can be easily dealt with by just using Ignis's regroup. But anyway, why I am not putting this in I didn't enjoy my time with it at all, it's because I did enjoy my time with it, and to some extent. The world is beautiful. It's got an amazing soundtrack, a really good one, with some of the best music I've heard. I wouldn't say it's overall the greatest thing, but it's definitely up with the greats. Yoko Shimomura is a great composer. Just listen to her work. But anyway, so it's got a great soundtrack, great visuals. But the problem is it's the gameplay. I already talked about the combat, but even the exploration, you're kind of just on a car. And when you're off the car and running around, then you can ride a chocobo too, which is nice. But if you're just, running around, you're not going to find too much. But what really saved it for me was the way the characters play off each other, the main four. Now, the story's got a lot of holes, and I hear it's a good story if you decide to invest in everything, the DLC, the movie, the anime, the guide. But if you're just playing the base game itself, there's a lot of holes. One character who is supposed to be a tragic death, you don't really care about this character at all. Now, you're only going to cry if you're a sensitive little bitch, but it wasn't really a tragic moment. Maybe just for Noctis alone, but I didn't get to know this character at all, so I didn't care. But it's just the way these characters play off of each other. They play off really nicely. The four bros are great, and that's what really does it. It's these four guys, music. The cinematics are really good. I especially think that one of the game's highest points is the boss fight with Ifrit. The cinematics, it probably does the best it can with what the gameplay does. But it's definitely a hype moment and one of the biggest moments. This game has a lot of highs. Actually, I wouldn't say it has a lot of highs. It has some highs, but a lot of lows. I wouldn't recommend this if you've played a lot of RPGs, so you kind of already have your expectations. Unless you have low expectations and you just want to experience the relationships between these characters and the cinematics. But that's what YouTube's for. But it's sad because there could have been so much with this game. They could have really done a lot with it. Now, I said that they fixed the combat in Final Fantasy VII Remake, which that's what this game should have gone for, something like that. At least with the magic system. But if they were, like, say, 20 years down the line, take a crack at maybe remaking this game, make it play more like an action game, because that's what they were going for. Add combos, add variety to how, and make your party members playable, add variety to what you can do in the gameplay. But that is all. This is the entire list. I don't think I'm in the mood to change anything. Yeah, everything's set where I think it should be. Remember, this is just my opinion, I know some of you will simp for Horizon Zero Dawn. But anyway, this is Milky Slim, signing out.